Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to break down complex sources and really pull out the key knowledge for you.
Giving you the good stuff without you having to wade through everything.
Exactly. And today we're diving into something pretty cutting edge, AI meeting surgery. Specifically, how AI can, well, revolutionize surgical documentation.
Yeah, we're looking at this research paper, Enhancing Surgical Documentation Through Multimodal Visual Temporal Transformers and Generative AI. Quite a title.
It is. But the core idea seems fascinating. It's about using AI to analyze surgical videos and automatically create reports.
Right, not just recording, but actually understanding the surgery, creating summaries.
So our mission today is to unpack how this AI works and, what it could mean for the future of surgery, documentation, maybe even training. I think we might have a few aha moments here.
Definitely sounds like it.
Okay, so let's kick things off. The paper points out that AI isn't just theory in the OR anymore. It's becoming quite important, right?
Oh, absolutely. AI is increasingly involved in surgery. It's boosting precision, making things more efficient, even helping surgeons with decision-making during procedures.
So things like automating tasks,
Yeah.
analyzing data.
Exactly. Automating the routine stuff, analyzing surgical data for insights, providing guidance in real time. The big picture goal is, well, fewer human errors and better patient outcomes.
And a really critical piece of this puzzle is computer vision, basically teaching machines to see during surgery.
You need the AI to interpret the visual information.
The paper mentions early efforts use things called CNNs, convolutional neural networks. What were they good at? And what were their shortcomings for surgery?
So CNNs are great at analyzing static images. Think identifying tools in a single frame or looking at medical scans. They nail spatial features.
Okay.
But surgery isn't static, is it? It flows. It changes over time. CNN struggled really to grasp those long-range connections, how an action early on impacts something later. They weren't built for sequences.
Right. It's more than just snapshots. Which brings us to transformers. We hear that word a lot now, especially with language models.
Yep, the same core idea. Transformers came out of natural language processing originally. They use this thing called self-attention.
Self-attention.
Yeah, think about how you read. You naturally focus on key words that give meaning to the whole sentence. Self-attention lets the AI weigh the importance of different parts of the input, whether it's words and text, or in this case, different moments or regions in a video.
So it can look at the whole sequence and figure out what's important both locally and globally.
Exactly. It builds a much richer understanding of context over time. And yes, this is the tech behind models like GPT that are so good at text. Now it's being adapted for video analysis, like in surgery.
Okay, really powerful stuff.
Oh.
But the paper also stresses that using AI in surgery comes with big challenges alongside the opportunities. It's not simple.
Not at all. Surgery demands incredibly high precision. Tiny errors can have huge consequences.
Yep.
So any AI used here has to be incredibly accurate. It also needs to be transparent. We need to understand why it's making a suggestion and adaptable to different situations.
And there are ethical considerations too, I imagine. Privacy, consent.
Absolutely. Strict ethical standards are paramount. Patient privacy, informed consent, making sure the AI isn't biased. And critically, AI should assist surgeons, not replace them. Human oversight is non-negotiable.
That makes sense. But the flip side is the potential. The paper mentions autonomous AI agents managing workflows.
Yeah, that's the exciting part. Imagine an AI that can reliably detect instruments, track actions over time, and summarize the whole thing in a report automatically.
Wow.
But the key to doing that safely is explainable AI or XAI. The AI needs to show its work, basically. Surgeons need to monitor it, guide it, and always be in control.
Got it. Trust but verify, essentially. All right, so this specific paper proposes a system, a multimodal pipeline, to generate these reports. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. It's a clever blend of computer vision and language processing. There are basically three main stages.
Okay, stage one.
Stage one is extracting visual features, using transformer-based models, specifically vision transformers, or ViTs, to look at each video frame and identify what's there. Instruments, anatomy, actions.
So ViTs are like transformers for images. They see the frame.
Pretty much, yeah. They're designed to understand visual data.
Sure.
Stage two then takes that visual info and combines it with frame-level captions.
Captions, like
Yeah.
text descriptions.
Exactly. Generated by large language models, actually. The LLM looks what the ViT found and writes a short description for that specific frame. Then another model, a ViViT-based encoder that's a video vision transformer, looks at sequences of these frames and their captions to understand temporal patterns. It generates summaries for short video clips.
Okay, so we go from frames to frame descriptions to short clip summaries that understand time. What's the last step?
Stage 3 uses another specialized LLM. It takes all those clip summaries from the entire surgery video and aggregates them, synthesizing everything into one comprehensive, structured surgical report.
And what makes this different from other approaches?
The really tight integration, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's constantly linking the visual information with linguistic understanding within this context-aware architecture. It's not just seeing, then writing separately. It's seeing and understanding together.
And they tested this on real surgical videos.
They did. They used the Collect T50 dataset. That's 50 videos of laparoscopic gallbladder removals keyhole surgery.
Cholecystectomies, right?
Yep. And these videos have detailed annotations, what tools, what actions, frame by frame. The results were pretty strong.
Like how strong?
Like 96% precision on detecting tools, which is really high, and a good score, 0.74, using a metric called BERTScore for summarizing the temporal context, the sequence of events.
Yeah.
It suggests this is a real step forward for AI-assisted documentation.
96%. That's impressive. Okay, let's dig into the methodology a bit more. The paper breaks it into 4 phases. First up is object detection.
Right. Phase 1 is just identifying everything in each frame. Instruments, organs, anatomical landmarks.
Sounds tricky in surgery. Tight spaces, things blocking the view.
Oh yeah. Occlusions, motion blur, challenging lighting. It's tough. So they use really robust object detection models. Things like YOLO, faster RCNN, and even newer transformer-based detectors tuned for this specific surgical environment.
Okay, so phase 1 finds the what. Phase 2 is generating captions for each frame.
Exactly. Taking the detected objects in the original frame image, feeding that multimodal input into a transformer-based captioning model.
So it combines the what with the how it looks.
Precisely. The model describes the actions, the objects, how they relate spatially in that single moment. It usually involves a VT for the image, maybe something like BERT for the object labels, a fusion mechanism using attention, and then a decoder transformer to write the sentence.
Very integrated. Then phase 3, clip-level captions, moving from single frames to short sequences.
Yep. They look at clips, say, 32 consecutive frames, and crucially, they use the frame captions from phase 2 as extra input. Temporal attention mechanisms then figure out how things change frame to frame within that clip.
So it understands the flow of action within that short burst.
Exactly. Capturing action sequences, generating a coherent description for the whole clip.
Totally.
They also mentioned enhancing the visual representation in their ViViT model to better grab those spatiotemporal dynamics.
Okay, and that leads to phase 4, the full report synthesis. This is where the big LLMs come in.
That's right. Generative AI, specifically models like GPT. You basically feed all the generated clip captions in order into the LLM.
With a specific prompt, I guess.
Yes, with a carefully designed prompt telling it to synthesize this information into a structured, human-readable report covering the whole procedure, aiming for something clear and useful for doctors.
It's amazing how they chain these specialized models together. Let's talk evaluation. You mentioned the Collect T50 dataset. What else was key in their experiments?
Well, the dataset itself was crucial. 50 real surgeries, annotated in detail. Tools, actions, targets, even surgical phases like preparation or gallbladder dissection were labeled and timed.
Did the dataset have text captions already?
No, interestingly, the researchers had to create artificial frame and clip captions based on the existing annotations, just so they could train and test their captioning models. They also did the standard split training, testing, validation sets for robust evaluation.
And they use pre-trained models as a base, right?
Yeah.
Saves a lot of effort.
Definitely. They leveraged powerful models already trained on huge datasets. VT-Base and ViViT for vision, Decilbert, a lighter BERT for object text, and then T5 small, FLAN T5 base, and ultimately GPT-4 for the final report generation. They specifically mentioned a detailed prompt for GPT-4.
The training strategy sounds smart too, accounting for potential errors cascading through the pipeline.
Yeah, that was clever. They didn't assume perfect input for each stage. When training the frame captioner, for example, they fed it actual potentially imperfect outputs from their object detector, not just the perfect ground truth labels.
Ah, so it learns to cope with realistic, noisy input.
Exactly. Same idea for training the clip captioner with potentially imperfect frame captions. It makes the whole system more robust to real-world conditions where errors can happen in earlier stages.
Makes sense. So what were the specific results for object detection? You mentioned high precision earlier.
Right. They achieved good calibration initially, meaning the model's confidence matched its accuracy well and improved it further with temperature scaling. The actual detection accuracy, measured by MAP, was competitive, and they noted it actually outperformed others specifically on recognizing surgical targets, which can be quite tricky.
Okay, solid foundation. Then the frame captions, how did the robust model fare, the one trained on potentially noisy object detection?
It showed clear improvements over a baseline model. Using standard text generation metrics like BLE and Rouge, the robust model scored higher, indicating better coherence and capturing more of the essential meaning, even with potential input noise.
So it produced better descriptions of individual moments.
Pretty much. They did mention occasional minor things, like a typo gallbladder, due to tokenization, but overall, it handled the noisy input well and generated better frame descriptions.
And for the clip captions, understanding sequences.
Similar story. The robust model, with that two-phase training and integrating everything, got the best scores. Again, highest, 𝐵LO-CHU, Rouge-L, BERT-F1. It suggests it was better at handling the imperfect frame captions and really capturing the temporal flow within the clips.
So integrating the components and training realistically really paid off. Finally, the overall surgical report from GPT-4. How is that evaluated?
That was more qualitative. They didn't use automated scores as much, but instead carefully analyzed the generated report.
Looking for
Accuracy, primarily. Did it reflect the actual sequence of events? Did it include key clinical details, tools, phase transitions? Was it readable and structured logically for a doctor?
and the verdict.
Their analysis showed GPT-4 did a good job. It effectively consolidated the clip info, maintained temporal consistency, even aggregated durations for recurring activities, and clearly marked transitions between surgical phases. They included an example report in the appendix that shows it turning all that input into a useful narrative.
That really sounds like a significant step. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here if you had to boil it down?
I'd say the key insight is this. We now have a demonstrated viable AI approach to automatically generate pretty comprehensive and structured surgical reports straight from video. It's a big deal for clinical documentation.
How so?
Well, by smartly combining computer vision and NLP, using these advanced transformer models for both space and time, they've shown a path towards much more efficient, potentially more objective, and insightful ways to record what happens in surgery.
And for you, the listener, what makes this particular research exciting? Why should you care?
I think it's that clever interplay between seeing and describing. The way computer vision and language models work together here is fascinating. Plus, the use of transformers for both visual and temporal understanding is really state-of-the-art.
And the modular design hints at the future.
Exactly. It gives you a peek into how AI might offer more autonomous help in the OR down the line, beyond just paperwork. It's about building blocks for more intelligent surgical assistance.
Definitely food for thought. Okay, final provocative question then. Where could this lead?
Well, just imagine the possibilities. Think about surgical training. Could trainees learn faster or better by reviewing thousands of these AI-analyzed procedures? Could detailed, objective reports help reduce errors by making post-op reviews more effective? And maybe even patient understanding. Could we generate summaries patients could actually grasp? As this tech evolves and integrates more deeply, what totally new applications might pop up that we can't even predict right now?
Lots to think about there. If this has piqued your interest and you want to get into the nitty-gritty details, definitely check out the original research paper. We'll link it in the description for this deep dive.
Yeah, worth a read if you want the full technical picture.
Thanks so much for breaking that down for us today.
My pleasure. It was fascinating stuff.